Get out of my city.
Maybe there's hope for you yet. Nice catching up. Hey, you can keep the sticks. You're gonna need them.
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. Marvel's Daredevil on Netflix. We're up to episode 7. Stick, Francis, Alonso, Bibbs, what a new look.
Hey.
Kim is joining us today as our resident expert on all things geek. Okay, is that a bad thing? I don't know.
No, I am.
All right.
I think Bibbs fills that role too.
Well, exactly. He's not here, so luckily you've stepped in. This is kind of the Scott Glenn episode, and boy howdy.
Yes, I liked it. I mean, I have to be. I don't know if this was a stick a character from the comics. He is okay. So that's I know enough about Daredevil but I didn't know that he was an actual character. I liked it. I put together straight away that he was going to be his father figure when he was younger. I seen that happening, and it provided the first real emotional scene, I would say, from Matt Murdock when he starts to actually feel the pain of looking for that figure to step in, and that was good for me.
I love the way they used it. I mean, at first you think, oh, why does Matt hate him so much? He's kind of fun. He's a cool guy. But then you get to the bracelet scene.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah, that was a sad scene. I think I could tell what was going to happen before, and I think this is maybe a little bit of a problem that I am starting to see more through the Daredevil episodes, going into the later, especially episode 8, which we'll talk about after. But I see these things happening and I can tell they're already going to pan out, but I still look forward to watching it, if you know what I mean, because I still believe the relationship. I really liked both their on-screen chemistry. I think they did very witty banter back and forth, which most of the time is what you're looking forward to in these episodes, especially with superhero stories. You need your characters to be able to be relatable because you know they've got the superhero aspect to them, but I love that those two, they definitely had that relationship that was complex.
Well, you called it before the Mr. Miyagi episode,
yes.
And then I called it the Ra's al Ghul episode, but I think it subverts that a little bit.
Yeah.
And that Stick he is a real asshole.
Yeah.
But he's a really interesting character. He actually has a lot to do with a lot of the Marvel universe, and he has his own group, and I don't know if we're going to see more from his group later, but I certainly hope so. What wasn't in the comics, though, is the Black Sky.
Oh, okay.
Which is not something I totally understood. Is it kind of a reincarnation?
I imagine they're going to explain it later, because they certainly haven't explained it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm only up through episode 9, so
I'm on episode 9 as well. But it was a perfect involvement of this character to pose the question that me, you, and Bibbs have talked about, and now you'll talk about as well, Kim. It's the morality of the character, because you have Stick that comes in, as you said, Ra's al Ghul, very Ra's al Ghul-esque, that he feels that sometimes it just has to be done. You have to kill someone to stop this city from going on a downward spiral that it is. But Matt Murdock has the Catholicism problem, because he still does not believe that's right. And as we see in the later episodes, that was very well put together with his episodes with the priest later, but he's constantly battling this, and that's what makes this show so relatable, makes it so... I do love superheroes, but I love when they become so humane, and that's what I've said out many times.
One thing I thought was kind of interesting in this one was that, we've gotten so used to the masked Daredevil doing all of the really great fight scenes that, I immediately go to the place of, oh, well, there's the stunt double.
Yeah.
And then in this episode, you get the unmasked Matt fighting Stick, and I'm sure there's still stunt doubles involved, but at least, they have to hide them more because they don't get to, have that thing on their head. For two blind guys, that's a really amazing, the throwdown.
The choreography for this whole season is really good. We didn't think we could get much better than the fight scene that we talked about. I think it was episode 2 or 3, and that was phenomenal. But they do it, and they seem to introduce you to fight scenes a lot more, as we see in the later episodes. They draw you in so quickly, and that's what has been Bibbs was saying when it's when you watch it in binge. They have this new method of just having a breath of fresh air at the start of every episode, and don't take you directly into all the conversation, but draw you in with action straight away.
It's also interesting how this episode, because of the
The Black Sky.
The Black Sky. You know,
monster.
so that pulls us into the sort of the Nobu aspect, and we're kind of going character by character through all of the Wilson Fisk henchmen. You know, in a way, it's almost thematically, it's kind of like The Raid, where you have to go through room after room after room to get to the big guy. You know, where we're seeing each of the henchmen kind of stepping up, having their own little side story, and being handled on the way to whatever the climax of this season is going to be.
When I seen Black Sky, I just automatically thought like a sorcerer or something like that. You know those movies of sorcerers, and little kids that are.
I think there's some kind of. There's something dwelling within him, like maybe the body's just a vessel, because Stick was saying you could sense what he is if you would listen more closely.
See, I don't know if I like that as much. I don't know if it's a story, because I love that these characters these antagonists are villains that we can relate to every day. They're involved in money laundering.
I love the gray morality of this show.
Yes.
And also like specifically of Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
I mean, what bothered me a lot during Batman is his refusal to kill. I mean, you're great. You have these great morals, Batman, but they're just going to keep coming back, and you're not going to win this war if you don't kill someone. And I think that's something maybe he's going to learn a little bit more eventually.
Well, but I get what you're saying, that this show does operate in a very kind of recognizable, you know, gangsters versus, you know, uncorrupted lawyers atmosphere. But at the same time, this is also the Avengers universe. You know, the event they keep referring to, you know, is the climax of the first Avengers movie. So, and you know, Captain America exists in this universe, as we learn in this set of episodes. So, you know, I think they're allowed to kind of dabble a little bit in the corners into something that's a little more mystical or you know, mutanty or whatever, and still kind of be of a piece. But for the most part, you're right. This is more about hand-to-hand guns, you know, that kind of thing.
And we talked about it a little bit off camera with what Marvel are most expected to do with their movies, like the Fantastic Four, and what they did with and what they're doing with the Avengers. And I feel that this was just an experiment to see how dark and deep they could go, and Daredevil's the perfect character for it. And now that I've seen this, and then I go and watch the Avengers, like I love the Avengers, don't get me wrong, I love the whole storyline, but I'm just like, I wish that Marvel could provide this turn on more of their superheroes in this character.
I don't want everybody to go down this fucking alley. I'm perfectly happy to let the Avengers be a little more brightly colored and, you know, that kind of thing. If anything, it's like, you know, it's interesting to, now that they've gotten this so successfully, I wonder if Marvel maybe now wants to go back and try the Punisher again.
Yes,
Like that crazy violent movie.
Yeah, you know,
I kind of liked it, though.
They've taken a few stabs at you know, there have been differing levels of getting it right, but maybe now that they've really kind of, this formula might loan itself to getting that character.
Well, it's hard to go to the dark and gritty route without looking like a huge Batman ripoff,
Sure.
like the Nolan Batman ripoff. And I think it's something that, you know, I don't mean to point fingers, but DC does try to execute this with a lot of different characters, and it doesn't always land correctly.
Yeah.
So I do like the bright and shiny Avengers. Because
I was a little harsh on that. Maybe it's just because I'm enjoying this show so much that it's maybe not the movie scene of it, because the movies are always going to be that bright spectacle. But like Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like when I watch these shows, I just feel that they don't find that balance, because no matter how much you want to emphasize the fun side of a superhero, you need to have something that brings the viewer up to the same level, that feels as if you can relate directly to the superheroes, because that's what that connection is. And that's why when I wrote the review on Daredevil, and I wrote that people are still calling it the poor man's reincarnation of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight in a television series, and I think that's a compliment.
Yeah.
I think that's a compliment to it, because it's something that Marvel haven't really done. And you said they tried it out with the Punisher before, and they still never really put it across.
But I don't know. I like a diversity of tones. I like that in the comics you can have, you know, sort of a jokey Fantastic Four living in the same New York as a grimmer, you know, Daredevil, or that you know, Batman can be super rational and dealing with, you know, being the world's greatest detective, but then occasionally turn and get help from the Phantom Stranger or something like that. So they don't all. I mean, like, yeah, this one's working for Daredevil, but like I don't necessarily. And if the other Netflix shows follow this route, then that's fine. I think they'll sort of carve out this corner where this is the tone and this is the visual language, but I'm perfectly happy with there being other manifestations of this universe in other media, in other tones.
Maybe it's just because of the liberties they're able to take on Netflix. That's why I enjoy it, because Netflix just it provides a perfect marriage for Daredevil. I think I don't think there's any more platforms that could do that for it as much as what, or maybe HBO. But when it comes to a show like this and the way that the movie was portrayed before, it's just a real breath of fresh air to see them take this to a new level and take it a step further in reinstating that this superhero can be anyone. That's what I think. As much as his senses are heightened, and he's still at a disadvantage. Like he's got an advantage, no doubt, but he's still got the fact that he can't see as
He
much
kind
as
of
other
does
things.
have powers, though.
Yeah, he does.
That certainly empowers him.
Yeah, but it's still like he, as much as he would be able to dodge, as you see later, like he gets hurt a lot. Like
Yes.
a lot more than you see Batman when he gets the odd scratch in his suit and he's like, can you fix this, Alfred? Oh, okay, I'll knit it up.
Yeah, I was saying, and you know, Batman is a millionaire, and here the super rich, powerful guy is the bad guy.
Yes.
You know, who's got the money, he's got the real estate, he's got the media and the cops in his pocket. So even though Daredevil has a little bit of an advantage thanks to the powers that he has, he's still at a disadvantage in so many other ways, and so it makes it a fair fight, I guess, maybe in some
It's
ways.
kind of like I love that the bad guy, who does not see himself as the bad guy, by the way, has his hands in everything around Hell's Kitchen, and you wonder, is this worth Matt Murdock's time? Is he saving things for Fisk now? I like that level of corruption.
Yeah, and it's because he.
I like the idea of that level of
it's
corruption.
And the Kingpin's endgame is it's you know, I don't know, Starbucks on every corner or something.
Yeah.
It's a slicker, more condo-y.
He's like Dr. Doom, where he's pretty sure he has the best idea on how to lead everyone.
Right.
And that makes him like great.
And a point that Bibbs has brought up before is that we love to see superheroes in danger, but we also love to see superheroes overcome a huge amount of adversity. And with Wilson Fisk, he is not just easily just go and kill him. You can't just go, let's just kill him and everything will stop, because he has his hands, as you said, in every different aspect of this city. He's got control of the police, he's got control of finances. So just to kill him doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't just take it another step in his place, and the same problem would arise.
Right.
It's like Daredevil can't just go and have an epic one-on-one battle with him and suddenly everything's sorted. He needs to tackle it from both his lawyer standpoint, which is very interesting, and from his superhero.
Mm-hmm.
So more about Wilson Fisk when we return with episode 8. Kim, thanks for sitting in today. We appreciate it.
I'm gonna leave after this one.
But we will be back shortly. Thanks for watching.
No punchline. Haha, babe. Woo.